Romantically linked to his Dumb and Dumber co-star Lauren Holly, Jim Carrey's personal life has often mirrored the unpredictability of his on-screen energy. But beyond the headlines and relationships, a deeper, more complex story has always existed, one that even fellow comedians like Dave Chappelle have hinted at in surprisingly candid ways. When Chappelle recently spoke about meeting Carrey, it caught attention not for humor, but for honesty. What he described wasn't the larger-than-life comedic genius fans adored, but someone far more intense and difficult to read behind the scenes. It revealed a side of Carrey that few people ever get to see, and it challenges the image many have held for decades. To understand that contrast, you have to go back to the beginning. Long before the fame, Jim Carrey's life was far from glamorous. Born in Ontario, Canada, into a working-class family, his early years were defined by instability. At one point, his family lost their home entirely, forcing them to live out of a Volkswagen van. For a time, Carrey and his brother even slept in a tent while trying to get by. Those struggles left a lasting mark on him, shaping both his drive and his perspective. Even as a child, though, there were signs of something different. He spent hours in front of the mirror, experimenting with facial expressions, pushing his features to extremes just to see what might make people laugh. That curiosity soon turned into ambition. By his early teens, he was already pursuing comedy, stepping onto small stages in Toronto while still juggling exhausting factory work to help support his family. His first performances weren't successful. In fact, they were rough. Audiences didn't always respond well, and self-doubt crept in quickly. But Carrey didn't stop. He kept refining his act, sharpening his timing, and slowly building confidence. By the late 1970s, he started gaining traction, earning small paid gigs that hinted at something bigger. The momentum grew. Appearances on television, opening for established performers, and eventually breaking into Hollywood turned him into a global star. Films like Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber didn't just succeed, they exploded, redefining comedy in the 1990s. His physical style, wild energy, and fearless performances made him unforgettable. But off-screen, things were never quite as simple. His relationships often followed a pattern, intense beginnings followed by sudden endings. His marriage to Lauren Holly, for example, lasted less than a year, with constant media pressure playing a major role. Other relationships, including those with Renee Zellweger and Jenny McCarthy, also ended despite appearing strong from the outside. There was always a sense that Carrey was searching for something deeper, something just out of reach. At the same time, his personality seemed to shift in ways that confused even those around him. He could be warm, thoughtful, and deeply connected one moment, then distant and unpredictable the next. That duality became even more apparent during certain roles, especially when he portrayed Andy Kaufman in Man on the Moon. This is where Dave Chappelle's story fits in. When Chappelle met Carrey on set, he expected a normal introduction. Instead, he encountered someone fully immersed in character, so much so that Carrey never broke out of it. For hours, Chappelle wasn't speaking to Jim Carrey, he was speaking to Kaufman. The experience left him unsettled. What should have been a simple meeting became something strange and uncomfortable, highlighting just how far Carrey was willing to go for his craft. That intensity is part of what made him brilliant, but it's also what made him difficult to understand. Over the years, Carrey has stepped away from the spotlight at times, turning to painting, reflection, and a quieter life. Yet even then, he continues to evolve, occasionally returning to acting with the same unpredictable energy that defined his career. In the end, Jim Carrey remains exactly what he has always been: extraordinary, complicated, and impossible to fully pin down.